Today I want to walk you through a story about digital justice. It's a heavy one. It starts with a pretty heartbreaking loss, but it ends with this incredible sting operation that completely turned the tables on a predator. So let's break down exactly how it all went down. So that is the call that kicked this whole thing off. It's from a daughter named Erin. She's grieving the loss of her mother, and in the middle of all that, she stumbles upon a secret that just makes everything so much more painful. Her mom had been trapped in a scam for nearly 2 years. And right from the get-go, this case looked, well, impossible. The victim, a woman named Dira, was 62 and a quadriplegic. The scammer? A complete digital ghost. Honestly, most of these cases, and it's sad to say, they just go completely unsolved. The financial hit was huge, over $15,000, all sent in Bitcoin. But the real crime here, the real gut punch, was the emotional manipulation of someone so vulnerable for so long. The scammer was pressuring her for money right up to the very day she passed away.
But this one was different. It had a few key openings. For one, the daughter, Erin, was incredibly organized. She'd saved everything. And here's the crucial part. The scammer had no idea Deirdre had died. That gave investigators a massive opening to pose as her. And the sheer cruelty of it all, knowingly targeting a disabled woman, that provided all the motivation anyone needed to see this thing through to the end. To really get what happened here, you have to understand the victim. Who was Dira? And how did she end up as a target in the first place?
Before a tragic accident, Dira was an absolute force of nature. I'm talking a marathon runner, a competitive gymnast, just full of life. But afterwards, she was paralyzed from the neck down. Her world became so small. She was isolated, bedridden, and the internet became her lifeline. It was her connection to the outside world. And that, right there, is where the predator found her. Deirdre was remarkably open about her situation. She told the scammer everything, laid it all out there. Her physical challenges, her fixed income. You would think that would inspire some compassion, right? Nope. For this scammer, that information was like a green light. It made her the perfect target. This really shows you how sophisticated this trap was. It's a classic playbook. First, you build trust. You pose as management in a fan club. Seems legit, right? Then you isolate them. They had her sign a legal-looking non-disclosure agreement, a key tactic to keep victims from talking to family. And finally, you create that financial dependency with a recurring payment plan she couldn't afford. Okay, so let's switch gears to the investigation. As the team starts digging in, bam, they hit a brick wall. A digital fortress, really. Pretty much what you'd expect. I mean, look at this. The Bitcoin trail, it just vanished at an offshore exchange. The Telegram ID was a total blank. Even the proof of their relationship, the photos, the audio messages, it was all completely fake. AI-generated pictures, AI voice clones, the entire persona was a fabrication. There was basically nothing to go on. So what do you do when all the traditional methods are exhausted? Well, you throw out the playbook. It was time for a new plan. Use the scammer's own greed against them. It was time to catfish the catfisher. So for this, they brought in a heavy hitter, the scam-catching expert clip³. And together, they cooked up this brilliant 3-phase sting operation. It was designed specifically to lure the scammer out from behind his wall of anonymity and right into the open. Okay, so here's the genius of it. First, phase 1, the lure. Erin, pretending to be her mom, sends a big, fake Bitcoin payment. To claim it, the scammer has to visit a special website. Second, phase 2, the trap. This website has a custom verification system specifically designed to get them on camera. And finally, phase 3, the confrontation, a live call to face him with all the evidence.
And phase 1 worked perfectly. I mean, within moments, the IP logs started lighting up. There was one initial hit from the US, which was likely just a VPN to hide his location. But then, boom, 4 more hits came directly from Nigeria, one of the romance scam capitals of the world.
Now, phase 2, this is where things get really clever. To prove they were human and get the Bitcoin, the scammer was put through these ridiculous tasks. Guessing the number of bees, drawing a picture of a rat. It was all designed to make them feel like they were getting closer before the final, unbelievable ask. Turn on your webcam.
And you're not going to believe this. He did it. He turned on his camera. Just like that, the anonymous ghost had a face. They had multiple photos, videos. They knew what Dira's tormentor actually looked like. So, now they have a face, they have a location, It was time for the final phase of the plan. Get his government ID and give Aaron the chance to confront him directly. The final piece of this whole trap was a classic Know Your Customer verification, or KYC. You've probably done this for a bank or a crypto exchange. They told him his account was frozen until he uploaded his ID to release the funds. It sounds super official, totally legitimate, and it was the perfect excuse to get his legal name. He falls for it. He uploads his ID. They patch Aaron into the call, and she opens with that devastating line. Imagine. The scammer thinks he's just seconds away from a huge payday, and suddenly, he's face-to-face with the daughter of the woman he'd been exploiting. And of course, he starts scrambling, immediately starts making excuses. I don't understand, I'm just an agent. But Erin, she was just so calm and collected. She dismantled every single one of his lies, reminding him that he preyed on a bed-bound woman. And when she brought up God, he just couldn't take it anymore. He hung up the phone. And in those next few moments, in his panic, he basically gave them all the confirmation they needed. He started frantically trying to delete his Telegram messages with Dira and even placed several missed calls to her phone, proving it was the exact same person. So what's the final takeaway from all of this? For this family, it was a moment of real justice, but it also serves as a pretty powerful warning. The most important outcome is this. The scammer's full, unredacted government ID, along with all the other evidence, was turned right over to the proper authorities. That anonymous ghost now has a name, a face, and an address. For Erin and her family, it's a form of closure her mother never got. And this whole thing leaves us with a really powerful final thought. These predators thrive on anonymity. They thrive on vulnerability. But as this case shows, that balance of power can shift. The next time a scammer thinks they've found an easy target, they might just have to wonder, who's really on the other end of the line?